What is a money mule? How does this crime affect you? What are the threats to the economy and the financial system? We'll get those questions answered and more on this episode of Follow the Money. Welcome to Follow the Money, the podcast that unpacks the world of financial crime and how it affects us here in Jamaica. This podcast is brought to you by the Financial Investigations Division, FID. I'm your host, Robian Williams, and today we're tackling a crime that often hides in plain sight: the use of money mules. With me is Inspector Brenton Williams. He is the head of the Constabulary Financial Unit. He's been at the forefront of investigating and dismantling financial crime networks that rely heavily on money mules. Among other things, we'll explore what money mules are, the trends we're seeing locally and globally, and how Jamaica is fighting back. Inspector, thank you so much for joining us. Let us start from the beginning. What are money mules?
Thank you for having me today. Money mules are individuals who allow their bank accounts to be used to receive and transfer illicit funds. I should also add that there are three categories of money mules. So there are the witting money mules. These are individuals who see the red flags, but they ignore them and continue the activities. You have the unwitting money mules, who are individuals who are unaware that they're actually participating in a criminal offense. And then there are the complicit money mules, who are very much aware that they are in fact a part of this criminal network.
And which of those are we seeing more regularly in Jamaica?
We're seeing mostly the ones that are complicit and also the ones are witting. So they see the red flags, but they're ignored.
Indeed. And
Yes.
why do criminals prefer to use mules, money mules, to transfer money?
So there are many reasons why criminals want to utilize money mules. One is they allow them to remain anonymous. And this is very important when you're engaged in this type of financial crime. They don't want police officers to be able to locate them. So they use money mules. Even when we are able to locate some of these money mules, arrest them, we find that this informal culture persons are actually unwilling to even assist us in identifying and indicating who are these persons that actually hire them.
So they rather to take the fall.
They rather to take the fall.
Would you look at
Also, you find that the money mules, they create a separation of the individuals, as I indicated before. And oftentimes when we're trying to trace the money, you find that the mere fact they utilize various money mules, it is a bit difficult for us. You find that they also need to move money at a very quick pace, and money mules are able to utilize that. They are able to get the money out of the banks very quickly. So that is also one of the reasons why we're seeing this high recruitment of money mules in Jamaica.
Indeed. And what's the profile like, based on your investigations? What's the profile like of a money mule? The age, the gender, the background?
All right, so we're seeing where it is typically persons within their 30s. As relates to gender, I would say it is equally between males and females.
Wow.
And we find that it is low to middle income persons that are being recruited as money mules.
Low to middle income, so persons who are maybe struggling
Yes.
and susceptible. They become susceptible and vulnerable to
Yes,
these
yes,
activities,
yes.
because one would imagine if you have an issue and it's quick and easy money, and you would agree to say, yes, I will accept this transfer, given that I get some of the funds.
Indeed. So the financial pressure that persons face on a day-to-day basis is one of those vulnerabilities that these criminals exploit.
Indeed. Is there like a pattern in terms of young men versus young women that are in rural or urban communities?
Based on our investigations, we're not seeing a clear demographic pattern, but what I would say is emerging strongly though is the way in which persons are recruited as money mules. We're realizing that it is mostly face-to-face recruitment that is taking place. So
Oh,
oftentimes the recruiter and the money mules, they know each other.
indeed, as opposed to on social media,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
persons just transferring money. And you know, one of the things I considered prior to doing this interview is how easy someone can ask you for your banking information without your well, you give it to them, give somebody your banking information, not knowing where the money is coming from. And you're not necessarily complicit, you don't know, but you still get caught up into this money mule situation and liable to be prosecuted.
Indeed, indeed. It is unfortunate, and this is why we're having our public campaign,
Mhm.
so persons can be very much aware of the red flags that they need to look out for, so that they are not recruited unknowingly as money mules.
Indeed. And I thought about it. I, for one, gave out my banking information because someone asked to send money to my bank, to my account, and I'm like, all right. And you know, we do this on a daily basis, and it doesn't come in, coming like nothing. We
Yes.
give people our banking information, and it doesn't raise any red flags. But you're telling us to be wary of how we give out our banking information.
Yes, and let me add, what we're seeing as a prerequisite for when persons are being recruited as money mules is not just giving out your banking information, but it's also giving your credential for your bank cards. Persons give out their PIN, and they also give these recruiters their actual bank cards, because the recruiters want to ensure that they have control of that money when the money hits the bank account. They don't want to take the chance in whether or not the money mules is going to be honest and bring the money to them. So we have seen in many, many cases where the person actually give the bank card and the PIN number to the card to the recruiters, and they are the ones who withdraw the money.
There are concerns as it relates to opening, people having many different accounts with many different banks, and people just opening accounts on behalf of someone. You'd imagine that there are definitely concerns in that regard.
Yes, indeed. We have seen where persons have actually opened bank accounts for this particular purpose. Because another prerequisite that we have come across is that they don't want to send money to active bank accounts that you're getting your salary. They want to send it to near dormant accounts or new bank accounts, because they don't want, if monies are sent and the bank pick up on it and the bank do a recall, they don't want to lose the money that they have in the bank accounts. They find that it is new bank accounts and bank accounts that are near dormant.
Indeed, and this wouldn't raise any red flags. I mean, you just open an account and so much money coming into that account. It wouldn't raise any red
It
flags?
does raise red flags, and this is why it is important for them to get the money mules and for them to recruit the money mules before they actually commit the crime. So oftentimes, by the time the banks are able to pick up on what has transpired, the monies are transferred and withdrawn.
Wow,
So
quick and easy.
quick and easy.
Quick and easy.
So I give you an example, $10 million from a compromised bank account. They would recruit maybe 20 money mules, 500,000 each, to basically be on the radar.
So it's like a ring.
It's a ring.
Wow.
It's a ring.
Organized.
Very organized.
How does Jamaica's trend compare to international? What are you seeing based on investigations and partnerships that you've been in?
So it is similar right across the board. The crime that we're seeing more dominant is cyber crimes. So the compromising of bank accounts through phishing attacks, malware attacks, international lottery fraud, these are the type of offenses. Because when you think about it, these criminals need to get the money outside of the banks. So they need money mules accounts, so when they have committed their offense, they're able to get the money and get the money very quickly. So overseas, based on research that I've conducted, these are the same type of financial crimes that are taking place globally.
And pattern.
And the patterns, yes.
Indeed. Let's bring it back home to Jamaica. Now, I recall in July, the Financial Investigations Division,
Yes.
they issued a call to say, be wary of money mules and don't become money mules, whether knowingly or unknowingly.
Yes.
We had a matter where a woman was involved. You say, well, it's just the same ratio of men and women.
Yes.
At a bank, she received money, and it was as though she was saying she wasn't aware. And I recall earlier you say they still may become complicit and still liable for prosecution. So how does one protect themselves from this when they are receiving money unknowingly? I wake up this morning, I saw $500,000 in my account. I don't know where it come from.
So this would not typically be a money mule case, because money mules normally, they engage in communication with the recruiters.
Okay.
Because the recruiters want to ensure that they are able to maximize on the money that they're receiving. So in a case like that, I would advise the person to speak to their banks, because they're not expecting the money, so that the banks can do their investigation and see whether or not it was by an error. But in relation to money mules, I can tell you that they are normally expecting the money. They are lined up at the ATM. When the money reach, they are able there to withdraw the money. They don't want to waste any minute where the bank's internal system may, kick in, and then they are able to recall those money.
Indeed.
Yes.
Not many of us will turn away and go to the bank when we see $500,000 in our bank account. But yes, let's look at the bigger picture. Yes. How does the money mule and the crime, how do they rather support, not support, put the country's finances at risk? How does the whole money mule ring put the country's finances at risk?
Okay, so the main impact is our reputation globally. As you can understand that Jamaica, as a tiny island in the Caribbean, rely heavily on correspondent banking.
Indeed.
So if we are deemed to be iris, you find that banks are not going to want to do transactions with us. And even if they do transactions with us, it is going to require enhanced due diligence. Indeed. These are things that are very costly. And if you find that the banks are absorbing those costs, they're going to pass them on to the consumer. Jamaica is a country that relies heavily on remittances. True. And again, if we're deemed to be iris and all the operational costs that comes with being iris, it will affect how persons receive remittances. It affects how we buy goods overseas, because as I indicated before, we utilize correspondent banking. So all of that would basically, erode the gains that we have made.
And the trust.
And the trust. So when you think about the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force,
yes.
CFATF, we have made significant strides in getting off the grey list. We have also recently gotten off the EU IRIS, location in relation to money laundering and terrorism financing. These are things that we do not want to reoccur. So it is important that we protect the financial integrity of our financial systems, and as such, why we have to take this threat very serious.
Indeed, we've been making strides, and we don't want to mess that up any at all.
Not at all.
Inspector, how does the FID and the CFU work alongside other local law enforcement partners to really tackle this issue of money mules?
So we engage in communication. We work very closely with our partners, the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, Jamaica Customs Agency, because being a money mule and the crimes associated with money mules are not just in Jamaica, they are transnational. We have had instances where international money mules have sent bank cards with monies, and scammers are able to utilize our ATMs and get those money. So it is important that we establish these strategic partnerships so that we can share information and have be able to tackle the issue as a task force.
Indeed. As you mentioned, task force, share what you can about the operational tactics, whether that's surveillance, joint operations, or using technology to follow the money.
So whilst I can't go too much in terms of the operational standpoint, but I will say that we do use technology.
Yes.
I will try to ensure that when we are investigating these matters, we engage with our partners. We also want to ensure that we're able to basically put the individuals in the different categories that I indicated, if they are complicit or unwitting or witting, because we want to show the court that they have the mens rea, which is the guilty mind. So we ensure that we utilize technology. I will not tell you what,
Yes.
but we utilize that, and then that is presented before the court.
In your humble view, do you think the banks are doing enough to really protect customers from really engaging or even becoming part of this money mule ring? Do you think they are really monitoring the systems?
I think the banks are doing an excellent job. What we have to understand is that we're living in a era now where technology advancement
Yes.
is at the forefront. And despite the training and the investments that these banks make in protecting consumers, they will still have issues. It is not a Jamaica problem, it's a global problem. The relationship between law enforcement and the financial institutions are at a great level in terms of cooperation. So I would say, the banks are in fact doing as much as they can to protect the financial system from money mules and other criminals.
Let's look at the human themselves.
Yes.
If someone is approached by a money mule, to be a mule rather, if someone is approached to be a mule, what should they immediately do?
So they can report it to the police, they can report it to the FID, they can report it to MOCA, because we want to be able to get that intelligence so that we can be proactive in terms of our approach.
And what are some of the signs to say that you are being recruited as a money mule?
So oftentimes when we interview these individuals, we hear the different narratives.
Yes.
My coworker indicated that his bank account is frozen, or he cannot find his ATM card, and he's asking me to receive money, and he's going to give me 20% of the money or 30% of the money. Think about it logically. If you are to receive legitimately, for argument's sake, $100,000, and you're willing to part with 30 or 40,000 out of it,
you're saying it's too good to be
it's
true.
too good to be true. You understand? And getting your legitimate money and being able to part with so much of it is in fact a red flag. Asking the person to hand over their bank card and their PIN number is also a major red flag that persons need to look out for. We have had instances where persons are recruited and they don't know the person.
Yes.
They met online, the person asks them to provide their banking information, and they do. And their job is to go on probably YouTube and like a few photos, and then they're paid. But they are not aware that the monies that are coming to them are coming from victims of crime, and they are assisting in terms of passing on those funds.
It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. You can be caught up in this mule ring, this money mule ring, without even knowing. Because many of us, we give out our banking information, as I previously stated. And, we are just accepting money for a friend, for a family, or a relative. We don't know.
Yes.
And this can put you at risk. What advice would you give parents, teachers, for those of you who are listening, about not becoming a money mule?
So for everyone, not just parents and teachers, but for everyone, I just want to let them know that being a money mule is not a harmless crime. We have to think about the residual effects of being a money mule. If we look in terms of Jamaica, where we have, the importation of firearms on a regular, these criminals need to get their hands on money. So when you act as a money mule, you are basically being a vehicle for organized crime criminals to be able to be well-resourced, be able to purchase the firearms, and these firearms have serious consequence for our country. So we have to be very careful in terms of the activities that we're facing. So it is not a harmless crime because the victims, the persons who are murdered, they are victims.
Thank you so much for that, Inspector Williams. So today we learned that money mules are not victims, but participants in crime, and the risks range from losing your freedom to damaging Jamaica's financial reputation. Inspector Williams, I can't thank you enough for sharing your expertise with us today. If you suspect mule activity, call the FID hotline at 876-928-5141 or email contact@fid.gov.jm. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at FID Jamaica. I'm Robian Williams. Join us next time on Follow the Money.